The core idea. That's actually a really good question. We've been thinking about that for a long time, really. And it's probably something we should have thought about before we created and kind of started recording. It's important to get the core idea down of your business before we start everything. So,
but we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't. Whatever. You learned. So what is our core idea? What did we come up with?
We are the Young Life Perception.
And, I know it sounds pretty awesome when you hear that, but there's actually more to it than just saying, we are the Young Life Perception. That is one thing that if we want to do a podcast on politics, we revert back to that core idea and we say, all right, we want to do a podcast on politics.
Well, we are the Young Life Perception.
So what do we need to do to make that podcast reflect our core idea? We need to put our own perception into that, the Young Life Perception. And that's really what our core idea is. Pretty good.
Right.
So what are we trying to accomplish? I mean, really, like we said, our core idea is we are the Young Life Perception. But what that means is we want to create sort of a movement. Like we want young people to follow us and be like, wow, these guys really know how to tap into our minds and change the traditional ways of doing things.
We want to provide depth for our generation. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to make people realize that there's more to life than just what you're seeing in front of your eyes.
Like us smiling. There's more to it than that.
And we talk about it all, folks.
We do cover a lot of things, and I think that's what we're trying to. We're trying to accomplish a lot of things. We're trying to accomplish teaching people about things they don't normally think about. Like not a lot of people think about imagination and connectivity and space colonization and things like that. And another thing we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to make it fan interactive. We're trying to keep it in a group of 18 to 25-year-olds and make them feel like they're part of this whole thing. They're part of this podcast.
Right, because it all comes down to the fans. Our success is solely dependent on all of you, and we appreciate everybody who listens to our podcast and everybody who supports us. We appreciate you guys for real. What skills and experiences do I bring to the table? Well, I started off at a young age with many brothers and sisters. I have a single mom, so I've grown up to be very independent, and at the same time, I am very disciplined, very curious about life. I have a very large tendency to look for deeper meanings within other meanings to develop a depth of understanding that I love to present to other people. I'm an extrovert thinker. I like to think how things can happen in the real world, and I'm very, very logical. That is my main cognitive process.
And that's what you bring to the table.
That's what I bring to the table, yes.
Yeah, buddy. So I guess the next question's for me then. What are my experiences and skills? Well, I came from a family where my mother was mostly, I would say, extrovert feeler. Definitely influenced a lot of my feelings on things. Whereas my father was more of the tough love of the family, the person who was a perfectionist, and it rubbed off on me. And I realized that I can use a lot of the things I learned growing up in the business world, creating my own business. So when we came up with this podcast, it's like I bring in the skills of being very meticulous, being a mentor, being a visionary, things like that, and also providing, the ENFJ side, the extrovert feeling side of the podcast, bringing in how this is going to influence people and how I can create a movement called Young Life Perception. You can't have a movement if you don't have the logic and you don't have the emotion side of it, and you don't have people with different backgrounds really coming together on something and showing people that, hey, you know, this is an important thing. This is an important podcast.
In listening to our podcast, you'll find out that Steve and I balance each other out very well. We tend to complement each other on things that the other person is lacking in. Where logic is needed, I will add it, and where feeling is needed, Steve will add it, and it creates a composite podcast that just sounds great because you're getting multiple viewpoints, and you're getting two viewpoints that actually balance each other out, and we just let you form your own opinion based on the facts and opinions we bring in.
Yeah, so we do put in a lot of work on this thing, and we work really well as a team, and we'll come up with great ideas when we sit down for 20 minutes. And then we'll record a podcast. It's like, you know, we take a lot of the work out of learning it. All you have to do is sit back and listen, you know, and our benefits are we get to learn from doing that podcast. So it's a win-win situation, really. It's a win for us, and it's a win for the fans.
If you have any topics, let us know because, like we said, this is fan-driven. We are looking for people to give us ideas to research and talk about and explore and develop a new understanding so we can share it with everybody.
And reverting back to the core principle, if someone who is older wants to give us a topic to talk about, we'll analyze it and basically find our own way to make it a young life perception of that specific topic. So I guess you should slam us with the next question. There's a lot of things you can expect from the future.
I mean, man, we're growing exponentially right now. I mean, our number of views on our blog our number of downloads of podcasts is probably going to be double this month what it was last month. We're just getting all over the internet. We're on the first page of Google. You know, this is still baby stages, too. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. Hopefully we continue to grow. Hopefully we get more people to hear our message that we're trying to spread. You know, we're going to cover so many different things in the future. I can feel they're going to be very, very deep topics.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to try to go live more. We're trying to get on YouTube. We're trying to get everywhere. That's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to show people that, you know, you've bottled up all these emotions and all these thoughts that you've had on specific topics. Well, here's a place where you can just, you know, kind of let them out, kind of sit back and realize that there is a lot of other people that think about a lot of things that you think about. And that's basically what the podcast is trying to prove. And I mean, as far as future goes, I mean, we're going to try to bring more guests on here. We're going to try to bring on guests that a lot of people want to hear from. That's way down in the that's way ahead in the future, because we just got a new mic, and that's what we're planning on doing. I mean, like I said, we want to get on YouTube. We're trying to get on a lot of different places, talk show, live radio shows, trying to be guests on other people's podcasts, trying to be guests on other people's blogs. We're doing a lot of different things to try to grow the podcast.
Yeah, and one thing that is so important to keep in mind, I have a personality type that makes up about 2% of the population. Steve has a personality type that is equally as rare, and we're bringing those two personalities together and giving you a viewpoint that is not seen by many people. What we have is truly unique in this podcast.
ENFJ?
ENTJ.
Yeah, buddy. So if there's any girls out there that are ENFJ, holler at me.
I'm taken.
So, I mean, if you guys don't have any more questions, then we're about to bounce and focus 100% on Young Life Perception Podcast. So is there one more thing you want to add? Basically, who we are, what we do?
We are the Young Life Perception.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.